Welcome to the Terry Sullivan Show. Today's guest is son of legendary Hall of Fame baseball player Mickey Mantle, Mr. David Mantle. And now here's your host, Terry Sullivan.
Thank you, Terry. What a fine guitar player, David.
Oh, yes.
I tell everybody that I taught him everything he knows. It took me 10 minutes, but everybody knows that's a lie.
I tried the bass for a while.
So glad to have you here.
Well, thank you for having me.
I don't know what I should do. You're the son of Mickey Mantle, and everybody knows that name all over the world. So I'm not sure if I should stand up and bow or get on my knees. I'm pretty intimidated today.
No, just be normal. That's how Dad raised us. He once told us boys that if he ever caught us acting like we were better than anybody, he'd knock us on our butt.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about your dad for a little bit. What was it like, David, being the son, as a kid, being the son of Mickey Mantle? And before you go there, when you were 10 years old, where was his baseball career at that time?
Let's see, that would have been 65. So, you know, of course, his injuries were catching up with him. I know that much. But what I remember a lot about is how we used to spend the spring trainings. We'd get to go to Florida and stuff, and that was always fun. We got to spend time with the Ford family and all the other ball players' families that came down. But Whitey was on the first floor, and then we were right above him every year on the second floor. But it was, I just think that.
Let me ask you this, Dave. Let me ask you this. To you, he was just Dad.
Right.
To the rest of the world, he was the most famous baseball player ever, and to this day, to many. So, did he let you ever get caught up in the fame of it all, or did he work hard to keep your feet on the ground?
No, he kept our feet on the ground, and you know, both him and Mom were raised us, and you know, everybody thought that he wasn't a good dad, but I thought he was. You know, his job was just being gone in the summers. I mean, that was just one of the things. But you know, they kept us pretty humble and everything too.
So did he ever, whenever he got more popular, did they treat you any different at school? I mean, did they go?
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you always had to worry because there was always some people even at a young age when we were little, you know, they'd use you and everything like that, and then they think that by coming over and playing and stuff that Dad would be there, but in the off season he played a lot of golf, so a lot of times they didn't get to meet him. But they were after his autograph also.
Yeah. What's the one thing that you like to this day that you love the most about your dad?
Well, just like I'd mentioned, he was so humble, and one of the big things is how he played injured. That inspired other players that were on the team with him to maybe endure a little more pain, like he did.
Did he play longer than he should have?
I don't know. I always do think and wish, and I'm pretty sure he did too, that, being injured his very first year, his rookie year, that was just, I guess part of his legacy, but people liked it, that he played so injured and stuff. But I wish he could have played longer, because I think even during his 18 years with his career, he still, hit pretty many home runs and, had a good
I got
stuff.
A fly around here,
Yeah,
David.
I saw that. He was on me earlier.
Well, you must not have been sweet enough, because he came on this side of the road.
That's right.
So your dad played with guys like Billy Martin.
Oh, yeah.
Whitey Ford.
They're good friends.
DiMaggio.
Yep. DiMaggio was just his rookie year.
His rookie year.
Yes.
So did those guys get together in off season and grill out, cook out, go party? What'd they do?
Well, Whitey didn't so much, but Billy would come stay with us every now and then, and we always loved that. And of course, he always went hunting with us. But Whitey was up on Long Island and everything. I think that's where he's been forever. And so we didn't really get to see him that much, just really during spring training, like I mentioned, and like if we were happened to be up there for sometimes we would get to go to. We'd stay just right over the bridge by Yankee Stadium in New Jersey. So, we got to spend a couple of summers up there. So I remember going to the ballpark, and we'd get to hang out with the kids more often and see Dad's teammates.
What'd you do at the ballpark? I mean, did you...
Oh, shoot. This is crazy, but instead of playing like catch and everything with a baseball, we threw the football around. We mainly played football out there in the outfield.
Did your dad say, "Hey, this is baseball, boys"?
No, Dad was with us.
Did he ever want to be a football player?
He was almost, I posted something like that. He had a scholarship to go to OU, and he was going to be a running back, but a lot of people besides me are really glad that he did, because I just, the way he got injured, I don't see him
Sure.
Would have played that many 18 years in the NFL.
Did he ever want? Now you have a brother as well, right?
Just me and Danny are left. He's the youngest.
Youngest. Did your dad ever want you to follow in his footsteps? And
no, he never did force that on. But we never even knew when he was at a game. When we'd be out playing, because he couldn't come and sit in the stands, because he would have gotten bothered. But he would sit in the parking lots or road or whatever and watch from his car. And he never talked about the mistakes, because I remember one game where this kid, and I was not doing good that day, he struck me out 4 times. And he'd jump up and down on the mound saying I struck out Mickey Mantle's son and all that stuff. And, you can't charge the mound, but man, I'd go back to the dugout just PO'd. But Dad, that game, it's the same guy that was pitching to me. He tried to get an extra bag on me. I was playing right field, and I threw him out at second.
There you go.
Yep.
Vengeance is always
That's right.
good. When your dad went to Cooperstown,
yes,
to Hall of Fame, how special was that for him?
Well, I tell you what made it really, really special was also Whitey going in with him. And I can remember us being up in Cooperstown with Dad and our family and stuff, and then Whitey's family was up there, and then there were some other players. I can remember that it's funny, I've got to meet Burton lately that played in had that role in Blazing Saddles.
You're talking about Burton Gilliam.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think while the buses were down at the hotel, and we wouldn't leave until we watched Blazing Saddles.
Now, wait a minute.
All of us from Whitey and everybody.
Now wait a minute. So you're at Cooperstown. Your dad's
we were in New York at the time. We had to take buses to Cooperstown.
Your dad and Whitey are fixing to be inducted, but you got to finish the movie Blazing Saddles before.
before we got on the buses and went to Cooperstown.
Well, it sounds reasonable to me, right?
Yes.
I was told, is this true? The 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle baseball card is over $7 million now.
Yes.
And could land around $10 million for that card.
Yeah, it's funny. On the way over here, I spoke to Billy Martin Jr. Most of the way over here to see you, and we were both talking about it, and I said, "What? It's like over 7 right now," and then he's going, "They're projecting it to go over 10 million." So that would be really neat if it did, I think.
Could you pull some strings and maybe just get that for me?
Yeah.
I sure would appreciate it.
I tell you what, everybody always asks us, he goes, of course, none of us were born. Mickey Jr. was born in 53, but, no one was collecting baseball cards at that time in our family. So everybody's always asked that you've never owned one rookie card, and we haven't. And I wish, when I was living in Florida in '89, I got to know this one guy at a card shop, and he had one of Dad's rookie cards, just one, and I think it's like a 6 or a 7 or something like that. But he offered it to me for $5,000 back then, and I didn't make that kind of money. So, and I knew Dad probably wouldn't loan it to me because he'd probably be going like, I ain't going to give you that kind of money to go buy something like that.
Right.
But I wish I would have maybe taken the chance and asked Dad, but that would have been the only time we would have owned a rookie card.
So he didn't, when he looked in the mirror, he was just another baseball player. I mean, did he ever know how big he was to the game and the things that he did to change the game that are even in practice today?
I don't think he changed anything, but what you mentioned, though, talking about him, I remember I was out in the trophy room with him and Mom one day, and Dad was looking at all those things, and he always said, he goes, man, it seems like somebody else did that. I didn't do it. He was, like I mentioned, so humble. He could never really accept what all he had done and what he meant to baseball. And, he loved his fans. Mm-hmm. And he never understood it.
David, obviously, when you have a famous parent,
mm-hmm.
you get to meet a lot of famous people. Who's the most famous person you ever met?
Well, it's funny because me and my daughter were talking about this the other day. Well, there's two things. But the first one was we were in Vegas for something, and I can remember Dad, and then Mom, and then me, and right here was Elvis. And I'm just looking at him, and he's dressed in his white outfit with the cape and stuff. And I wish I could remember what they talked about, but I'm just sitting there just looking at them, and they're all just talking, and I'm just, of course. And
so your dad, he was just another. Your dad was around famous people all the time, so it probably wasn't a big deal to him, right?
No, they were just, they probably complimented each other, but Dad, that's one good thing about it. We did get to meet some other people we probably wouldn't have. He was good friends with Charlie Daniels, and God, I wish I could remember what birthday it was, but Dad was born October 20th. Whitey was born the 21st of October, so they would spend their birthdays together sometimes. So we were up at the Claridge Hotel Casino that Dad was representing, because I don't know if anybody remembers, him and Willie Mays, they were banned from baseball for a while. And then when, God, I can't remember the other commissioner, when he came in, he brought them back to baseball, so that was good. Mm-hmm. But Charlie played at Dad and Whitey's birthday, so that was neat. We got to meet Charlie Daniels and see a good show. And but he got to meet a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think even presidents.
For sure. So was there a baseball player, when you talk to professional athletes, there's always that one player that they didn't like. Was there ever a player in the game that he just did not like?
No, there might have been a pitcher. I know that he always mentioned, because how good Drysdale and Sandy Koufax were. He said, I'm glad we don't have to play them that much. But they were really good pitchers. But I think those two for pitchers. But there was really, on the team, it was really just a couple of pitchers that Dad didn't like. But on the team, he was, if a rookie came in, he always made sure he greeted them and, took them out to dinner and introduced, he wanted to make them feel welcome.
Mm-hmm. Did he ever get depressed?
Oh, I think he got probably depressed every now and then. Yeah, of course. Like it was mentioned when him meeting presidents, when President Eisenhower came to one of the World Series games, Dad said, I wish he'd come more, because it seemed like every time he came to a game, Dad hit a home run. So he goes, man, I wish Eisenhower had come more. But it was just.
Best thing about growing up? What's your memory? Best thing about growing up?
Well, one memory we had, I remember, I don't go hunting anymore now, but when we were young, when we turned 13, that's when Dad took us, that's when we were old enough to go hunt with him. And of course, Billy Martin was always with us. It seemed like, he'd come spend some of the winters with us for a little while. So, but Billy was always with us, and but going hunting was, something that we got to do all together.
You should have gone into radio, David. You got a voice, it's captivating. You should have been a radio guy.
I thought about doing that, and I remember godly, Dad sent me over to talk to somebody, and I can't remember his name. It was here in Dallas, and it's like right when I graduated. I thought about getting into journalism and that stuff, but I do wish I would have got into broadcasting because, you know, Dad was good at it too when he did it after he retired. So, but I know my voice, everybody's always, it's kind of crackling today and everything, but I've had a lot of people tell me I should have done that.
You know, every famous person, no matter what field it is, gets good publicity and bad publicity.
Right.
What is some of the bad publicity that your dad, Mickey Mantle, got that really irritated him?
It didn't really irritate him, but he would get mad at himself because, you know, he tried to be, you know, like when he was sick and getting ready to pass away and everything, he goes, you want to be a role model? Don't be like me. Dad, he wished that he hadn't a drinking like he did. Mm-hmm. That was one thing. And of course, we all went out to Betty Ford's and took our turns going out there. But I think that was the biggest embarrassment of Dad was the way he drank.
The way he drank. Now, was the cause of that just because he loved the liquor, or did he do it for pain management? Or
I think, you know, he didn't believe in drugs or anything like that, and he never took anything. I think, of course, you know, alcoholism is a gradual disease. It gets worse and worse. Mm-hmm. And but I think Dad did use it some way as a painkiller.
Yeah.
I've always thought that, but you know, I never asked him, so I don't know. But I just figured, you know, it probably did, you know, work. But you know,
what do you miss most about him?
Oh, just sitting around talking. With towards the end, we'd go out with him to Preston Trails, where he was a member, and we'd go out there and get to play golf a couple of times a month, and so that was good. It was just having going out with it'd be just his sons, and we'd all, you know, we'd maybe have a couple of friends with us too, and we'd all just go out there. But he loved playing golf with us, and then of course in the winter times, we played so much football in the backyard, and all the neighborhood kids would come over, and we had a couple of neighborhood kids that thanks to Dad, you know, that, you know, they weren't really, you know, that they learned how to play football and other sports, Dad. And I never really thought about it like that, but Dad was teaching other kids too.
Mm-hmm. Your mom and your dad, did they have a close relationship growing up, or what was under your roof? They
were from, both went to different high schools there in Oklahoma. You know, they were small towns. Mom was in Pitcher and Dad was in Commerce and stuff like that. So how they met was, Dad, it was a blind date, and he was going out with Mom's best friend, and then one of his friends was going out with Mom, but then after they met, that just, you know, changed. You know, he fell in love with Mom. And
yeah. And how long were they married?
Oh, God, I can't remember. It was from like 52 till, or 53, something like that, till, you know, he passed away.
So did she ever go to games?
They did when they, at the very first of it, there's, you know, pictures of Mom and Dad's mother. You know, they'd be at like the World Series and stuff. So they did go every now and then. And Mom always talked about it back then, how, you know, the women had to wear gloves and all that kind of, you know, and kind of dress up to go and all that. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, I guess that was just the way it was back then, because if you see some of the old pictures, you'll see people wearing sports jackets and all that kind of stuff. So I guess now, you know, of course, playing here in Texas, well, at least we got the new ballpark, so that's good. Yeah. But, you know, I never would have worn a jacket out there in the summertime.
No. Do you still follow baseball?
Oh, yes. You know, kind of, you know, we still, I like to watch the Yankees, and of course, you know, Judge is on a roll right now. But, you know, we get to go out to the Ranger and see the Rangers play a lot. I like going out there, and I like the new ballpark since it's air conditioned. But we used to have season tickets when Dad was alive and everything, and they had the old ballpark, and then in the new ballpark we got moved. So, but after Dad passed away, we let him go.
So when you go to a Yankee game, do you tell them you're coming? I mean, do they have a special seat for you?
Well, no, because you know, Dad would get mad at us too if we act for anything special. But luckily when we get to go, it's either for an event or something like that. And, we'll get to see, I remember one time, it's funny, we were in Roger Maris's box, and the Roger Maris boys, they were in Dad's box. And so we were coming this way, and they were coming that way, and then we ran into them, and we laughed about that. But we went over to Dad's restaurant up in New York afterwards. But going to the ballpark, we just, hopefully we're invited for something. Or if I know Steve Donahue, he's the head trainer now for him. So I'll call him, and then, and we might get some tickets. But we don't want anything special, just,
I kind of want something special.
Yeah.
Tell him that I need tickets.
Okay.
So, David, you had an accident a couple of years ago on the highway.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that.
Well, it was just this last June 23rd was the last one. It's the third time that I was rear-ended on a highway. And the first two times, I'm lucky to still be here, because one of them, it was we were on 35, and man, we got rear-ended by a tractor trailer, and it just pushed the whole thing up, and I don't know how I walked away from that. But it just, I don't know. The last time I was just thankful that when he hit me, I didn't get knocked over. We were on an overpass, so I'm glad I didn't go over the side.
God likes you.
Yeah. That's why I said, you could, whine about the accident, which, I wish it didn't happen, but because my back and everything, and, I've got a bad back and neck. I've had 3 surgeries, but I'm just glad I didn't go over the side.
What's to this day, what's the question most asked of you, of your father?
I think is what's it like to be a son? And so I said, man, we were just, like I'd mentioned earlier, we were, Dad and Mom raised us up to be normal kids, and like I'd mentioned, if we never acted special or wanted anything. I mean, it was just, and I'm glad that they raised us that way, because I didn't want to be that annoying brat.
Did your dad ever give you a whipping?
Oh yeah, I remember he was a good disciplinarian. So what was really bad though, if we knew that since he was gone in the summers, so whatever we did, we knew we'd have to wait 3 months. And I was going, can you fly me to him or something and let me get it over with now? Because otherwise I lose about 10 pounds worrying about it.
My dad was that way. My dad was he was a disciplinarian, but he was also very consistent. So
oh yeah,
when I was a kid, if we were on a trip, and if my dad told me, when you get home, you're going to get a whipping, if it was 3 days, I worried 3 days, because I knew when I got home, I was going to get a whipping.
But it's funny. It's like he'd come in from, being on the road or whatever, and he'd drop his bag, and he goes, okay, line up. I mean, he just barely got in the door one time, and I can remember us getting our whippings.
How many times did your mama say, when your dad gets home?
Oh, I don't know, but God, I hated hearing it.
What was his favorite food to eat?
I think from living here in Texas so long, being from Oklahoma, he always said he was an Okie, but being down here, we got into Mexican food a lot.
I love Mexican food.
I remember we'd be watching a game or something like that. This is after he retired and stuff, because I worked in restaurants from 13 to 30, and he goes, Dave, make us some nachos. So I'd go in the kitchen and make us a plate of nachos and bring them back in. And
you always see your dad with a cigar. Did he really love cigars, or did he just do that for show?
It's funny. Someone told me all in the same year. I think it was Ed Ford, Whitey's oldest son. We were just talking one time. He said, "Did you know?" And I never knew this, but Dad did a commercial for smoking and for not smoking all in the same year, because he never smoked cigarettes, and I'm glad I don't either now. Because when just glad I don't. But on the cigars, I remember he had one time, and he caught us smoking it. And so instead of saying that, he made us smoke the rest of it until we got sick, because that was true. And we never touched another cigar.
So we could just talk about this all day. I'm really enjoying talking with you about you and about your father. How many home runs did he hit?
536.
536.
Yes.
James Curbo, is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. The one thing that you want the whole world to continue to remember about your father?
Oh, I think just that, how at the end there, how he was telling, kids and not to be like him. There's other role models. I'm not a role model. And I think, for him to say that about himself and everything at that time, it was just, I remember being at that interview. It was right after he'd gotten his liver.
Your mom and your dad, did they always have a great relationship, or did she just get fed up with the fame at times?
I think she got fed up with the fame at times too, because even in the off season, then of course he'd be having to do appearances. Back then when Dad and them played baseball, they didn't make the money they make today, and Dad didn't start making $100,000 I think till like 67 or something. I mean, or 66 his last couple of years. But when they get off, when the season ended, him and all the other they went back to their other jobs. Dad went back to Oklahoma and worked in the mines with his dad, and other ones, everybody did something.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't just go home and relax over there. They had other jobs.
David, thank you for being here. I know you're busy and all that, and I appreciate so much you taking your time.
Anytime.
To be with me. We're going to go out now. Terry, take us, buddy.
All right.
There you go. Thank you, buddy.
No, thank you again, sir.
It's a pleasure.
Appreciate it.
It's a pleasure.